So how is everybody? Yeah? Excellent, good. So let's start by introducing. Go ahead, Jean-Michel.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Jean-Michel Hoffman. I lead brand marketing at Sofi. Um, I've been at Sofi now for about 6 years, and so I've really been able to see quite a bit of change in the business. I think a good anecdote that I was just telling Seraj earlier is that when I started, Sofi had 200,000 members. That's what we call our customers, and today we now have over 7 million. And so it's just been a tremendous amount of growth for us over the last few years.
Well, that's impressive. There's a lot more there to learn here from Jean-Michel today. This is Seraj Bharwani. I'm the Chief Strategy Officer at Illumin. So a 30-second version of Illumin, it's a journey advertising platform which solves for one problem. It brings paid and earned media together to create a seamless journey. Said another way, the world of ad tech and martech has remained in silos for the past 2 decades. We all know that. We are bringing the two together. That's it for today. The conversation for today, though, is very interesting. There are many things you hear about these fast-moving, fantastic fintech, new banking ventures and so forth that come to market. They're hugely successful. But you are always scratching your head. How? Why? What's the secret behind it? How are they doing it? And so as I got into conversation with Jean-Michel over the past couple of days, it was like, wow, this is very, very interesting. So let's get into that. So let's start with the very basic. What is Sofi?
Yes, Sofi, for those of you who don't know, Sofi is a nationally chartered bank. We're actually the newest and youngest bank in the United States. But really our origin story was in being a financial technology platform that was really trying to help people get out of student debt. So in 2011, we started in the student loan refinancing space, inventing student loan refinancing. We saw that there were millions of people in the United States who had student debt, and we thought that we could help them get out of the debt and pay off that debt. And from there, we've really grown our business to offer a full suite of lending products and a full suite of financial services, banking, and investing products. And now we say that we can help you get your money right, all in one app, and bring all of these products into one ecosystem.
Okay, so now you know what the business is about. Who is the design target?
Yeah, Sofi is interesting. If you think about the financial services landscape more broadly, there are massive banks that have existed for hundreds of years. And so it's from the outside, it's a little tricky to think about, well, okay, where does a new bank have a role to play? And really what the target that we've gone after is a group that we call Henrys, high earners not well served, or high earners not rich yet. And if you think about it, probably many of you in this room have been at that same place in your life, potentially in your 20s or 30s, where you're starting to make a little bit more money, but you haven't accumulated a lot of wealth yet. And you're thinking about your finances and saying, well, it doesn't feel like I'm getting a whole lot of help from Chase or Bank of America. They don't really care about me because I don't have millions of dollars to put into their private wealth management. And so that's the group of people that we're going after. We think that we can offer them a tremendous amount of value that they aren't getting from their existing financial partner, and really just offer them more.
Go there a little bit further, which is you just talked about the fact that the consumer you're going after, who is beginning to accumulate some wealth, has money to create more freedom, more choices, all of those things, right? But they also have tons of options for banking right now, right? And so how do they perceive Sofi different from all of those other things?
It's a great question. So I mean, the way that we think about differentiating Sofi really starts with our mission. Our mission is to help our members achieve financial independence, to realize their ambitions. I want you to think about that for a second. When have you ever walked into a Chase or a Bank of America branch and said, this person who's behind this piece of glass wants to help me achieve financial independence so I can achieve my goals? They don't really think about that way. Well, we genuinely do. And the way that we communicate that to people is in helping them get their money right. In today's world, all you have to do is scroll through TikTok for 60 seconds, and you'll eventually be hit by at least one piece of content that's telling you about some financial hack for you to make a little bit more money, or some investing trick so you can become rich overnight, or just think about what FTX was telling people for the last 5 years. We actually think that we can help people get their money right in a way that is deeply personal to them and puts them on that right path.
Got it. One thing that I did not clearly hear from you, which I learned earlier from you, is you are a completely mobile experience, right?
Yes.
There is no physical infrastructure. Is that true?
Yeah, that's one of the ways that we're fundamentally able to offer more value to people. We don't have any branches on any corner of the United States. The entire experience is mobile first. And this stands actually in stark contrast to most of the financial services space. If you've ever tried to open a bank account, most people have had an account for an average of 14 years. But if you go back in time, you definitely had to walk into a branch to set up that account. But that's still true today. Chase makes you go into a branch or call someone if you want to set up the account. And Sofi does that entire process seamlessly, entirely online within minutes.
Excellent. Are we good so far?
Great.
Yeah? All right. You with me? Okay. So now the next thing, metrics. Let's talk metrics. So it's easy to see the stuff that gets reported by analysts in Wall Street. Congratulations, you guys did extremely well. You just had your earnings last quarter. So that's all beautiful. You mentioned some numbers from 200,000 customers to 7 million right now. Again, beautiful, exciting, looks like the business is reaching scale. But when we hear from outside, people's reaction are always either euphoric or totally depressing from one quarter to the next. Fundamentally, what is changing in your business that you believe is an indicator that the business is moving in the right direction?
Yeah. It's a great question. So one of the things that I'm responsible for at Sofi is helping build unaided awareness of Sofi and make Sofi into a household name. And so if I think back to a few years ago, when I said Sofi to anyone, they would say, what the heck is that? I've never heard of it before, even though we had done multiple Super Bowl ads. And so one metric that I care a lot about is just when I walk into a room of people, many of whom I've never met like today, how many of them are actually aware of Sofi? And I'm excited to...
You stop there. How many have you? Oh, wow, that's impressive, right?
You're all in the design target, I guess. Yeah, so that's one of the ways that I personally look at whether or not the business is doing well. Acquisition is hugely important to us, though, and we look very closely at how we're growing the business, literally on a daily basis. And so, seeing that the rate that we can acquire new members accelerating, not decelerating or even plateauing, is critical to us as well.
Jean-Michel, I'm surprised you didn't mention one more thing. The years that I spent with American Express as a client, the single biggest metric they had was how far and wide did they have penetration across their different product portfolios that they offered. Not just one card, but many other services that they provided.
Totally.
I would imagine that's just as important, right?
Yeah, so when I think about Sofi, some people might call that LTV as one way to look at the metric, and we think about it as cross-buy. One of the theses that we have about Sofi is that we can actually not only be a point solution for you for one product, but help you across every financial product and your entire financial life. And so we want to be able to offer people the first bank account they've got, but also the investment account that they need, and literally every loan that they might need in their life. And so yeah, we absolutely look at cross-buy and how many products per member we drive adoption amongst.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So we're going to switch gears now. Now that we have an understanding of the business, we understand the metrics, we know the challenge he's got in front of him, let's switch to how are you really working on those things. So let's start with marketing. What's more important for you right now? Is building brand awareness and equity more important for you, or more performance, more driving acquisitions, more building up the pipeline so that you have something to build off of?
Yeah, I mean, I think, first of all, both are incredibly important. I hate to say it that you can, I just don't think for a business like ours at the stage that we're at, you can focus on either one of those things. You have to look at the marketing mix holistically. I'm uniquely responsible for growing unaided awareness of Sofi. I've mentioned that already. But I work very closely with my peers in growing the performance side of our business as well. And you know, until we reach something like 100% aided awareness, we will just have to continue to invest in building the brand. And the other thing is that if you think about this goal of really being able to build a lifetime relationship with people, a lifetime is a very long time. We will always need to be a brand that is front and center for people, but also be able to capture them when they express some interest or there might be some change that's coming up in their life that they need a little bit of help with.
Got it. We're going to go down a very specific lane simply because you are responsible for building this whole unaided awareness, right? Naming rights. It's been a very controversial thing over the 30 years that I've spent in marketing, right? It sounds good, putting your name, you know, this is stadium, that stadium, whatever, right? And the struggle always is, what does it fundamentally do? You are a national brand, right? And so how do you place that within the context of your overall marketing strategy?
Yeah. So Sofi doesn't just aspire to be a national brand in the financial services space. We aspire to be a top 10 financial brand by market cap in the United States. I will say this is a massive goal that we have a long way to go in achieving. When I think about naming rights, and I've had the opportunity to talk to a lot of my peers at other brands, and the thing that I really ask them is, how deeply do you actually want to build your brand? And how much do you think that that's really going to play a role in building your business in the long term? If you aspire to be in the top 5 or 10 brands within your category, assuming your category is large enough, I think naming rights and sport and investment in the sports marketing space is an essential part of building that brand. The truth is, there is no media vehicle today larger than the National Football League. And so we have the naming rights to SoFi Stadium in LA, where the Rams and the Chargers play. I mean, I look at the ratings for every single game, and there hasn't been a game this season that's gotten less than 10 million viewers, with many getting many millions more than that.
Okay, perfect. So you get the visibility. People see your brand name and so forth and potentially keep it top of mind, right? So that's all fascinating, right? Over the years, the naming rights deals that I have been involved in, right? So if Coke is trying to do something, or Verizon is trying to do something, they're always insisting on activation. What else can we do? So if it is Coke or Pepsi trying to do something right, it's going to be, I want pouring rights. I want every drink in there coming from my portfolio, so I actually can prove that there is actual value of consumption happening there, right? The Delta deal I did, for Delta Airlines, for in-airline deal with Java City or whatever, was about pouring rights, right? Are you doing any activation at all?
Yeah, I'd love for all of you to be able to go down to SoFi Stadium in LA. We activate at every event, and the activation takes different form, whether it's just in the stadium, sort of signage and visibility for specific messages that we have, or we have street teams who are there actually trying to educate people about our product. But yes, absolutely, activation is key.
Excellent, excellent. I can just keep going, guys. I have tons of questions for him. Anybody have any questions? We can pause. Yeah, please.
Jean-Michel, great to meet you. Question on the naming rights topic. I think one of the things that maybe not a lot of folks have been following, but Tiger Woods and Rory McIlroy have just started this golf league, and Sofi has been one of the naming rights partners for that innovative golf event. Can you talk a little bit about just the strategy there and what you guys are seeing from a brand perspective about wanting to be first for what this is expected to be a pretty exciting and very progressive opportunity for the sport of golf?
Yeah, absolutely. So for those of you who don't know, there is a new golf league that is going to be launching on ESPN on January 9th. I want all of you to tune in for the first event. It's called the TGL, and it is a simulator golf league that is going to completely advance the sport of golf, and it's founded by Tiger Woods and Rory McIlroy, two of the biggest names in golf, alongside the PGA. And so, if I think about our strategy, fundamentally, one of the things that we need to do is not only build awareness, but build trust with people. We are 12 years old, and for context, Chase Manhattan Bank was started, I think, in like the 1700s. And so we need to partner with other brands that can help us build trust. The PGA is one of the most trusted institutions in sports, or was at least until Live happened. But we still think that they're one of the most trusted institutions in sports. But it wasn't just enough for us to go and sponsor another golf tournament. We wanted to actually do something that was first to market, that was as innovative as we are in the financial services space, and so TGL is really that opportunity. They're bringing immense new tech to golf, and we think that we're bringing immense new tech to the financial services space, and together we're all changing our respective games.
Hello. Hello, I'm Jessica Juno with Tubi. Good to see you again, Jean-Michel. As you heard earlier, Tubi talking about our big breakthrough moment at the Super Bowl and how our business transformed after that. Can you speak a little bit on the SoFi naming rights of the stadium, and was that your breaking point from a brand perspective that helped launch to 7 million members, which I am one? Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's great to hear that you're a member too. I would say that there were two really transformative moments for us. The naming rights to SoFi Stadium was the first really important ingredient that got our name out there week in and week out for our first season in 2020. We had been sort of investing in a number of new marketing vehicles up until that point, and that really put the pedal on the gas. I think the second was actually becoming a nationally chartered bank. And actually, if there's a third, it was SoFi actually going public. The combination of those three things really helped credentialize us and build awareness and help sort of advance our goal of becoming a household name.
Quick follow-up to that. You talked about daily metrics. You talked about brand and performance kind of together. How did you justify that, and what do you measure from it? It sounds like you had 3 moments that you've been able to measure. What are the things that you're measuring there?
Yeah, I mean, we look at a suite of metrics on a true, actually on a daily basis. I am one of probably the few absolutely insane brand marketers who measures awareness weekly, which is very, very hard to do. If any of you know of anyone else who's doing it, I'd love to talk, because sometimes I pound my head against the wall. But we look at awareness and we look at every sort of acquisition metric you can think of, and we bring them all together into a holistic dashboard, basically.
I already have it. Can you give some deeper examples about your target audience, which I think you called Henry, and how their attitudes towards financial institutions are different, and then how you took the insight and kind of ended up with a brand experience that is different? Because when I look at it, it feels different, but I'm just curious how you got there from insight.
Yeah, so One of the things that was really fundamental to addressing that audience was a realization that we came across, which is that satisfaction in the financial services space is extremely low. Trust in financial services in general is second lowest only to social media, which is saying something. And in general, what we've seen is that well over half of people are not satisfied by the existing banking solution that they have. I mean, how many of you are like, I love my bank account? None of you. So what we sort of said was, and what we discovered was, amongst young people, this is especially true, and we wanted to be able to increase satisfaction amongst that group, and we just asked them, what do you want? What is the experience that you're looking for? And all of that kind of came back to this fundamental value that we have as a company. So we're a very values-driven organization, and our number one value is putting our members' interests first. And so we just asked them, what do you want from this experience? And we went and built that.
Hey, Jason Edelman from Brand Innovators. So Seraj mentioned the word journey marketing, customer journey. So a little inside baseball. So I go to a lot of Rams games, and no joke, as you know, half of the stadium is cheering for the other team. It's being from LA, it's embarrassing. But I get it. They want to come to LA, and they also want to check out the stadium, and that's been true since you guys opened. Are you doing anything, and this is maybe more in the media acquisition space, to follow up on the journey from all these visiting fans who've experienced this amazing stadium and then going back to their local markets? Do you guys have any marketing tactics there? It's very granular, I get it, but I'm just curious.
I would say that there's a lot that we're doing. So we are marketing at a national scale, and if you think about the top of our media mix, maybe is the stadium, but just below that is the national advertising that we're actually doing in football games. And so the hope is that we'll hit you in another game that you're watching. And then below that, throughout the funnel, if you've expressed any interest in Sofi, you're probably seeing a follow-up message from us at some point in the journey. But then we're also dabbling in some new things like, advertising and rideshare, in order to sort of follow up with you right after you've come and visited the stadium. And there's a lot more to learn there about what that does to advance the journey.
Yeah, interesting you bring that up. There are quite a few different ways that asked you the activation question. It's on-site, and he's talking about off-site as follow-up activation beyond, because they've already got the exposure.
Yeah, I mean, Jason, you've probably seen it. We have a game that we play at the stadium where you can win some money, and we're actually throwing up a QR code. You scan the code, and that's a way to sort of get you to take an immediate action with us and help us get into your pocket, so to speak, into your phone, and then follow up on the journey with you as well.
I think the moral of this story is something you did not explicitly mention, but we talked about it right there earlier, is how do you get to consumer intent? Every one of us is trying that today. How do you get that first intent so that you can follow up? That's the hardest thing to do these days. Somebody raising a hand or volunteering saying, I want to hear. That's the beginning of the relationship, so to speak, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And beyond that too, what specific form of intent? If we can identify a problem that we can help you solve, it's even easier for us to then give you the solution and sort of articulate why Sofi might be the best partner for you.
Fantastic. Are we good on time?
We are right on time.
Okay. Unless somebody has a burning question, Jean-Michel, thank you so much.
Thanks, Seraj.
It's a real pleasure.
Yeah.